Good afternoon and welcome to the Monday, June 8th, 2026 meeting of the Orono Town Council meeting and budget adoption. We're starting early today at 4:30 for a executive session. Then we'll be back in to do our action items, hopefully as close to 5 as possible. We'll start with our roll call. I'm expecting Councilor Larway, but we have Councilor Hardison, Councilor Marks, Councilor Demerit, Councilor Powers, Councilor Baker, and Councilor Quinn with us in present as we start. And with that, I would take a motion for executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056E regarding consultations with legal counsel.
So moved.
Second, sorry.
Okay, all those in favor? John, you up? Okay, that's unanimous, 6-0, and we'll be back as soon as we're done. Thank you.
Amber.
Yeah. All right, we're ready, I guess. Thanks, Cody. Okay, we're back from executive session. Item 2 on our agenda, and we're going to move to item 3 on our agenda, agenda review. As we go into agenda review, I'll point out we do have action items. Typically, consent agendas come before action items. We've got action items involving the budget first, and then a number of consent agenda items that had to be. It's deep tonight. And then we come back to if we need anything else under an action item. I would ask that we agree. So if someone wants to pull something off the consent agenda, I would ask that everyone would be okay with us taking it up as an action item later in the meeting, even though we're doing action items first. Is that okay? Any concerns about that? Okay. Any questions that anybody has about the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move quickly into item 4, which is approval of minutes. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of May 18th, 2026?
So moved. Seconded.
Any discussion, corrections, changes? All those in favor of item 4? That's unanimous. Public comment. Do we have anyone online who'd like to participate in public comment? Seeing no hands raised. Okay, we'll move on to presentations and discussion items. 6A is Orono Festival Day. A front page item in the Orono Observer, I noticed. Summer fun in Orono. Way to go, Cody.
It is great. I'm Megan Mazzella. I'm the Parks and Rec Director. Thank you, Dan. You're absolutely right. We have started sending out save the dates and announcing September 12th as Orono Festival Day. We are still, I would say, in the planning phase to an extent. We have met with all of the stakeholders from last year to understand what they need, what worked last year, what didn't work last year, and how to better support them moving forward to this year. The other thing that was announced is the art market will be back. And we will be looking for vendors. I wanted to be able to give all the vendors that attended with us last year kind of their spot back if they wanted it. And then we'll open it up for more people to join that event there. We're going to be doing that registration on Civic Rec, which was kind of an easy way to keep that all organized. So if you do know folks interested, whether in this group here or amongst the public, we'll be really excited to see those requests come in. We are continuing to work with offices in the University of Maine, both in the athletic department and in the student life department. They are really interested in getting involved, getting folks over to the universities for some of the events in the evening there. So all good things to report. If you have the next step in the process will be working with some local businesses to get them prepared for the day. And volunteers, getting day of volunteers, good, healthy assignments. I want to make sure if people are volunteering for the event, they have a purpose and they're giving to that space. So does the council have any questions I can help answer at this time?
John?
I just wanted to, in the age of all the AI posters and things out there, I really appreciated seeing the utilization of a local artist in the because I just love our wall of historical posters, and I think that really fit with it, which was nice. And also just wanted to say that the home committee is kind of actively working on has identified communication and outreach around events around town as a priority. And I don't want to jump the order here, and maybe I'll direct this towards Clint, but if it would be possible to kind of meet over the summer, to join a meeting, I think that would be really valuable.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Any other questions? I did like the poster a lot too. That was great to see that it was. Yep. Okay. Anything else on the good work? We're going to talk about Orono Arts Fest is coming up too, and I think I'm going to talk about that in my report. So yep. So summer fun.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I've spoken with Clinton. We'll continue to come back to the council throughout the summer to give updates as we move forward and closer to Festival Day. I believe the meeting in August will be doing a very specific itinerary, very detailed report on all the things happening at that point very soon. So thank you all.
Do our best to stay out of your way. So thank you. I appreciate it. Next up, presentation B is Joe, is it Cutera? Moores and Cabot Bond Advisor.
I'm trying to get my, can you hear me?
Is Joe there? Oh,
I saw him pop up. Yep.
Yeah, I'm getting my, starting my video. Video up. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Joe.
Okay,
so for just a quick introduction to the background, Joe Cutar was selected after a competitive process as the bond advisor to work with the council through our capital program. Council set the needs last December. He has now prepared the timeline and information along with Jim Safi and his bond counsel to call a public hearing. But I wanted to bring him in at the advance of this to kind of go over the materials and talk to you. So I will turn it over to Joe, but that's the background of why we're here today and what brought us to this point.
okay, well, I guess my camera's working now. What I've done is prepared some items, so I've taken notes for you. Plan asked me to sort of give a update as to where we are, to provide information. Here is in June, and when we do the bonding for the various projects, then we will be in good shape. Now, I'm wondering where, oh, share, good. Hold on. Now, can you see this on the screen? It says updating status.
It says has started. Yep, there it is.
Sorry.
Yep, we've got the front page. Go ahead.
Okay, so here we are. Just tried to take notes, and the staff was very kind to put this on the website, and I modified a little bit, and I put it the other one so that where anybody wants to have their hard copy, just print it off. And basically, here we are. We're going to borrow $9 million for the town. We intend to do this middle of October. And what happens is the cash flow leads us to when the town needs money and when it can use the money. The IRS's posture is if you're going to borrow, they want you to borrow and use it rather than borrow and just keep it in arbitrage earnings. And so this will match the various cash flows to the extent that the public hearing occurs, I believe, July 13th, and the town adopts the ordinance that you're going to look at tonight. You have a 20-day override period, which expires August 2 and allows us to have a green light to continue on with the financing. And so here's how the last that I've gleaned from the town is that we would do the library financing for 20 years, 400,000 of the 3,150,000 for the police station, and $6 million for the sewer for a total of $9 million. Here are the players that are included: Clinton Zach, bond counsel, myself, and then other ancillary people who are involved in the transaction. I wanted to, and I've done this maybe a year or so ago, but I've updated it since, and I want to sort of share Orono demographically with other thoughts with Scott County and the state of Maine. Obviously, I didn't put a percentage here and here, Shannon and me, but Orono has got a very interesting population. Does it include the university students? Does it include some university students, or does it include none? And one doesn't, I can't figure it out. But what it has done is it's given us a fairly large median age, substantially younger than Penobscot and the state and US, which are all in 40 plus years. Orono being 21.7. The household income, and again, I happen to have gone to University of Maine myself, and for a period of 4 years, I lived in what I call the level of sustained poverty. I did not have the mansion that I wish I had. Had to eat more spam than than sirloin steak. And while I wasn't considering myself in the poverty level, my income certainly put me down at that level. But it was just a sustained level until I graduated. Very similar to many college towns, a substantial amount of the owner-occupied buildings are rented. But the unemployment situation for the Orono is fairly solid. They typically outperform the state and certainly the United States. Then here's an updated, and Zach gave me this morning, things that of the various history of the town, things we look at. We look at your tax levy, we look at your tax rate, we look at the relationship between your assessed and equalized state with the idea that your assessed should be about 80% or higher of your equalized state, or you're encouraged to do a reval. And here, of course, your tax collections in very, very good shape. Let's see here. This is a little stale. This is a couple of years old, large taxpayers, but I believe that the tax base doesn't shift that dramatically year to year. So this is sort of a snapshot of the 10 largest taxpayers and the levies that they would be charged for the various, and of course, a lot of it is living, and until you get down to Black Bear Hydro and Versant Power. And then here is a fully diluted basis that we talk about debt per capita and debt valuation and these various measures. But what is important to understand is the taxpayer has to also pony up a portion of the assessment. Well, the town needs to pony up the assessment to RSU 26, which is about probably 70% of their budget, a lot being state reimbursed or state aid and other programs. But here we have a situation where your debt had peaked in 2020, and it's decreasing at an increasing rate, about 200,000 from 24 to 5, about $500,000 from 25 to 6. Your debt per capita should be about $3,000 before there's any level of even concern. And your debt as percent of equalized state valuation should be about 3 to 5%. And again, Orono being somewhat of an anomaly in that it's got so much tax exempt property with the university that it sort of skews how we're able to compare. Now we'll talk about the bond issue. And none of this is written in stone. This is all subject to the Finance Committee's blessing. It's subject to Clint and Zach's whims and desires. But what I thought I'd do is the way I'm seeing it is the library project will be financed over a period of 20 years, the police station over 30, and the sewer over 30. And I've done this two different ways that, as you can see, the principal on the sewer is staggered. This is more principal in later years than in earlier years, as opposed to the library and the police station. It's flat. Typically, tax-backed projects have flat annual principal payments. Typically, revenue-producing projects like water or sewer, airports, have level annual debt service, which gives you an equalizing effect of about, let's say, $350,000 a year. And so here's your here's your principal with the, that you have level principal versus level P&I. And so that your level principal, like, well, has a larger amount of principal payment in earlier years and smaller amounts of interest, and then it flip-flops after about 10 years. Level P&I has a greater amount of principal over its life, but because it's spread over, it's about a constant 350,000 a year. And then what I've done here is the yellow shows that there's no very difference on a present value basis. It's really pretty equal. With a dollar today is worth 80 cents in 10 years and 60 cents in 20. That level P&I would be the yellow blocks. Level principal only are the green, and so you can sort of see here in 2039 it sort of equalizes, stays the same, and it flips to the benefit of level P9. Finally, and Tim asked me to keep it to about 15 minutes, and so I'll go to the end of him to try, is I've written down your historic available fund balances, which are very strong. The current fund balance policy, I lifted from the financial and fiscal policy adopted by the council in 2018. And then this morning, I was surprised that there actually is a thought of revising the fund balance, which I certainly subscribe to. That the rating agencies really feel that you should have enough money in your fund balance so you can run your business the first day with no revenue, and your revenue comes in the last day that you're a going concern, so that having a sufficient amount of revenues is not surplus. It's not really available for things other than being a liquidity instrument that provides the monies for the town of Orono Incorporated to work as a business, like any business person probably needs a 30-day working capital amount for the same reason. So having 2 months, having a threshold of 12%, and you can see up here that you are peaked at really 2024, and it looks like you're starting to use fund balance for various things that are away from what fund balance is really supposed to be for, and that's to be as a liquidity facility. There is an argument that if it's substantially higher than your policy, that as long as you make it clear with the rating agencies and investors that you are readjusting the draw on your fund balance to have it sink back to current levels, then there's an argument there. But to have fund balance specifically for tax relief becomes an extremely sensitive point to rating agencies, and they typically are pretty stubborn about it. What's interesting though is they also include your available fund balance with the idea that with legislative action, the town council, you have the ability to transfer the money to abandon the project, postpone the project, if you're under budget, to use those monies and switch them over to unassigned. So the rating agencies look at your assigned and unassigned as your available fund balance, which is this line right here. And that's where we're at. Any questions?
Okay. Any clarifying questions or just? Yep. Councilor Marks. Yep.
Hi, Mr. Kutera, thanks. On the second to last page, I'm just not fully sure. Yeah, that one with the color-coded bars and the gray columns above. I'm not really fully sure I understand what I'm looking at on the comparison. So I understand you to say that the library bond would be 20 years, the police station and the sewer 30. And I'm assuming these numbers at the bottom are telling me that for the 2,600,000 library bond, we would in fact pay over the lifetime of the bond, 3,705,000, correct?
That is the correct assumption.
Sorry?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay, along the bottom, I understand, but when we get to the right in the comparison where everything's highlighted in gray, what is being compared there? What are the different?
What I have done here is this principal column is a sum of 130 plus 15 plus 100. And that's going to give you the 245,000 principal. Now, what I also could do is have one more column and have the principal amounts.
Yeah, Joe, can you,
Yeah.
you're kind of echoey. Can you speak more like closely to your microphone or just try and,
Oh, sure.
I don't know. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Let me just, here we are. I could have put a column here, which is level principal for all three projects. But what I was trying to do is I was trying to draw a correlation between level principal and level principal and interest. And so you can see that were you to, and again, as we talked, you're delaying payment of the principal until future years to have it be level. And so there's a difference in the distinction here that if you financed the 6 million by 30 years is what, 200,000 a year, then you would have a total of 622,000, 720,000 of debt service that year versus the lower debt service of level P&I. And then in 10 years from now, you have a situation where it pretty much equalizes. And then it gets to a point where your level of principal interest, because you paid much more principal on the earlier part with the level of principal, that creates lower cost than level P&I together. It's like a home mortgage that you want to have a balance of $8,000 a year for your mortgage, based on X amount, the same amount every month? Or do you have a situation where you have a $100,000 mortgage of which you're paying a lot of the principal in the front end and deferring the interest until a longer project?
Yeah,
So
we're still
this-
having trouble hearing you, Joe. Is there anything else you can do on your end or anything we can do on our end to make it more clear?
Yeah, I at best maybe heard 30% of that, maybe not even. The short answer, however, is are we being asked to choose between level P and I versus level P? Is that a
Mhm.
choice we are being asked to make as a council, or is there a recommendation on that? I
You-
did not hear the details, but that's, I guess, my short question.
Okay. Can you hear me better?
Yeah,
Okay. The answer is you do not have to make a choice today. You make the choice sometime in September, October when you're ready to do the bond issue. The recommendation is that the two non-revenue producing projects, the police station and the library, would be amortized with level principal amounts every year. The other is because the sewer, I believe, is sewer fee based, is not tax based, would be level P&I. So it would look essentially like the chart here that's in the yellow. And that would be a recommendation. However, it would cost about $800,000 more in interest because the average life of the level principal is 15 years. The average life of level P&I for 30-year loan is about 18 years. So if you borrow money for 18 years, it's going to cost you more than if you borrow it for 15. But again, on a present value basis, that amount of money is paid with ostensibly a person with higher income, a situation where the dollar is less dear than down the road than it is today. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, it still work, but we can hear you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So but you don't have to make a choice. But what I was trying to do is demonstrate that you have choices there, that down the road, I will ask you to make a decision and I'll show you the results or the expected results. So you have an informed decision to make.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Jacob, did you have questions?
Yeah. Thank you for all this. If I missed this, apologies, but what rate assumptions are you using for these bonds?
4.25%.
Well, sorry, what was that?
What was that?
4.25%.
4.25. Okay. And so does that, I guess, there's been a lot of market volatility, or there's been a lot of rate volatility in the past month or so, kind of related to larger economic issues. Do you anticipate that rate are you fairly confident that we will be able to get to that rate when these bonds are offered, or should we, bump up our rate assumptions a bit?
There are two things about rates. They'll go up and they'll go down. I just can't tell you when. We just did a Scarborough financing for 25 years at a 3.71% for about $4.5 million. And I'm just looking at some other financing we've done since then. SAD 51, well, when I was a pan. City of Saco, 3.53% for 20 years. And I've done this, is I've taken the bond yield every Friday. It's called the Bond Buyer Index for 20-year AA bonds. And I have taken the average for 30 years, for 20 years, and 10 years. And I find that around 4.15 to 4.25% is about average. We have been spoiled recently by very low interest rates. I refinanced my cottage a couple of years ago at 2.75%. You can't get that rate today. The normal market rate for municipal bonds for the last 20 years is about 4%. This bond issue won't come to market until October. We probably have 3 more negotiated settlements with Iran that will either work or fall through. We probably have all kinds of other situations. We certainly will start seeing with the primaries what the government will look like. I can't predict what rates will be. I just will predict that they should be around 4.25% for our purposes. You can hear me?
Okay.
Oh, good.
One more question, Jake?
Yeah, sorry, one more quick question. And again, sorry if you had mentioned this, but why the 20-year amortization recommendation for the library and then 30 for police and sewer?
I asked Clint, and we went through each project, and that's what he gave him. I
Yeah.
did a question for 10 or 20 or 30, whatever you wish.
Yeah. And I can clarify. So when we had these first conversations, again, when we were bringing this up with the library, it's the second significant library project in 20 years. So I thought that we would match that. With the police station, I think this is at least a 30-year commitment to that location as your police department. And the investment we're going to make, it's going to last well beyond that 30-year part with just average maintenance costs. On the sewer side, I was influenced by his suggestions here. It is a fee-based system. Initially, I was going into it as a 20-year thought on a repayment. But when you look at all the capital economic development options we're looking at, I think this is where we got to see if we can maintain some capacity to grow our ratepayer base. And that's why I left that out there a little bit more. I felt like it gave the town more options. We could obviously bring that back. I think our budget would endure a payment. And I got to let's break down here again. Yeah, the budgets we built, he can do. Yeah, we're well above that amount was what when we estimated this plan a year and a half ago when we did the capital program. So does that answer that as best it
It
can?
does, and I'm not suggesting we change those amortizations. I just wanted to understand the reasoning behind them.
Yep.
And,
John,
and
you have something?
the finance committee will, and the council perhaps, will have great opportunities to voice what they desire to be reasonable amortizations. These are merely presented to show you what can be available to you, but they're not written in stone. And the other thing I was wondering is, are you, and it's not my hunt, but are you married to putting that much fund balance in the police station instead of bonding it? It seems to me that fund balance can be used for capital projects. Theoretically, you go to a capital projects fund, but I don't see.
Yeah. So we have, it's kind of the Baker compromise, that, so we worked really collaboratively on when we came up with how to proceed with these projects. And while we understand that there are, I think by design on the part of Mr. Baker, it drops our fund balance to a point where we have harder decisions to make about some of our spending in the future. And I'm not seeing him nod his head yes on that, but I think that's kind of something along the lines of what he had to say. But he did. We had a great, it's one of the best compromises we've had in my time on the council, where we reached a number and agreed to move forward. So that was kind of how we did it. So we'd be hard pressed as a group, and we'd have to win Baker first to make a change on that.
And and as your manager, I do like the page that Joe added, because I think he sees what I saw when we were trying to debate this, is that under the current fund balance policy, with that more of the 10% rule, he's showing that we're well, that we would be fine. But when you look at what was proposed and we go to a 16.67% goal, when you see the percent unassigned will be 18.72. That is before putting $1 million into your police station. So that will drop that by about 20%. So, with 20%, another 3. So you'll be under the 16.67, but just barely, but closer to our goal. I urge you have many projects as individuals, as counselors, that you debate with each other that you want to pursue. Fund balance will not be an opportunity to fund any of those. It will be alternative funding sources. Okay.
And
What
one,
do you earn on your fund balance? About fund? And Ricky, what's your rate of interest?
what's our interest rate on our fund balance, Zach?
Or what are we earning for interest on our investment?
And what are we going to pay? Oh, that's a funny question. That'll be an interesting question for you, Mr. Baker. So we're going to pay more on the bonds than we're collecting. We could pay more on the interest on the bond, on the money we're borrowing, than the interest we earn on the money we have in our fund.
Based on that point in time conversation, yeah.
Yeah.
Then if we
I'm mostly teasing you because, I like to, but okay.
And I think fund balance is a 30-day rate, and the bonds is a 30-year rate.
Okay. I don't think we're turning them around yet, but one would argue that the library and the police station are two pretty significant projects off our bucket list. So, anyway,
I'm totally
Good.
indifferent. I'll do whatever you wish. My job is just to be an observer.
And so I do have, so we have until after we advertise the public hearing, these are when our numbers are set. The public hearing is set for July 13th. When we set this on July 13th, the bonds will be set at 9 million, period, for the future, even at the issuance, correct?
you're asking us?
Joe, confirm what I'm saying. I said it's a statement, but after our hearing on July 13th, when we set it at 9 million, if you wanted to change the number, you got to repost and do another public hearing, is what I was trying to explain to you. Yeah.
It's written in
Okay.
stone on that date. It's written in stone on that date.
Yep.
Now,
So once we,
and the way I read the warrant or the orders is that each project has a finite amount. For example, the library is not to exceed 2.6 million, the police station 400,000. Various sewer projects, and it doesn't break them down into the 4 projects specifically, but a total of $6 million. So were you to be over budget on the $6 million, you can't draw that money from the library or the police station. If you were under budget for the sewer, theoretically, you can't use that for other things than sewer projects. But that will be written in stone on July 13th.
Once we pass it.
Just related to that, then what's the disadvantage of doing a lump sum offering? That way, we have more. Yeah.
Well, that gives you tremendous flexibility. I'm doing a financing for the town of Yarmouth right now. It's 3 different projects for a total of $10.5 million. And the warrant says $10.5 million for these projects. And if one's over budget or under budget, there's no reason to have to go back to the council or anybody. It allows flexibility. The more specific you make a list, the more the list is restricted.
Okay, so we
We can
may
talk
want to
about it.
all right, we can talk about that.
Finance committee can maybe debate that a little bit and bring it back before the hearing. Sure.
Okay. Yeah, final question from Council Marks.
Sorry, just back on we're 3.25% right now in our fund balance. I'm understanding it's 4.25% we're earning on our bonds. Is that what that 4.25 is?
That's what-
Spelling, that's what we're paying?
Paying.
Thank you. Okay, because I heard the wrong word in there and I was very confused.
Okay.
I would assume we're paying on the bonds. My other question was, am I correct, Clint, then, that the decision to bond the sewer over 30 years, when you said we could go back to 20, but we would endure higher payments at that point, the decision to do that at 30, if that's a lower payment amount, does that help us to get this fund balance back up to the 16.67 faster? I mean, I was assuming that's part of the rationale of that, is we can get our fund balance back up where it needs to be more quickly.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that would be one of the benefits. And I will add, as a point of clarification, our bond attorney is already online with us and has already answered us that the orders do allow you to move them. It's 3 specific resolves, but if any of them come under budget, it does allow you to move them to the others if you want.
Great.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Joe, I think we all set with Joe?
I'm all
Thank you
set.
very much. Joe, thanks for the help, and maybe you could work, are you gonna be with us at the public hearing or not?
Our attorney will be there
Okay.
for that one.
All right, thank you, Joe.
Talk to you guys. Thank you.
Okay. Item 7 is acknowledgements by council members. We'll start, Councilor Larway, with your side of the table.
I think I raised it last time, but just Orono's looking beautiful right now. Thank you to everybody who works on the beautification committee and all the volunteers who are involved throughout town and helping make this a welcoming place to be.
Councilor Hardison?
Just want to thank staff for being here tonight, and Megan, thank you for the energy you're bringing to the festival days, and Valerie Wallace, I want to echo you, John. What a great picture for the festival flyer.
Councilor Marks, you want to go last?
I don't mind. I can go
Okay,
now,
go ahead.
whichever.
Sure.
So I wanted to thank my fellow counselors and all the staff, and especially the town manager, for an incredible budget process this year. I know it was always tons of work, and I thought it went really, really well. I'm super appreciative. I also wanted to let folks know that for personal reasons, I won't be running for reelection. So it's also sort of a bigger thank you to how much fun it's been to work with you all. I'm going to tear up a little bit. It's been really a great experience. I've learned a ton. I felt really honored to serve with these folks, and I get to be here for 5 more months, but I'm making this announcement now because I really would encourage folks to run. It's a lot of fun. It stretches you. It makes you learn all kinds of new things, but you also just get to know some amazing people. And you really do get to hear from community members a lot about what matters to them. So it's a super rewarding gig. And I wanted to announce it now because Shelley will get my dates for me, I hope. But I believe that you can pull papers to run as soon as July. What's the July, Shelley? July 20 something ish, but it's around July 20-ish. When you can pull papers and you don't need a lot of signatures to get on the ballot. I think Shelley's got this one. It's 25, is it? I encourage you to get a few more in case somebody was mistaken about where they live or where they're registered to vote. But you don't have to get too many signatures, and you do have to turn those papers in by September, like right before Labor Day, I think. It's like September 4th, 60 days before the election, right? Somewhere in there. So those dates may not be exact, but they're really close. So I did want to say it now because there's only one more council meeting between now and July 20-ish. So thank you all very much. It is a joy, and I'll be glad to be here for the next 5 months. But I will miss you all. Thanks.
You want to top that, Matt?
Yeah. I'm gonna top this. The girls track team won state. Way to go. Orono High School girls track team. And I had one of our people in our household was one of the members of that. So it's a ton of fun.
I don't have anything at this point.
I just wanted to say congratulations to the Orono class of 26. Had their graduation this weekend, and are off to do great things, and excited for them.
Opportunity to run for the Orono Town Council if they would choose to. So I'll acknowledge and thank Sarah for her work. We came onto the council at the same time. And it's a lot of transition and I think a lot of progress, and both of us learned a lot of things. So and I really think we're personally good compliments to each other in a lot of ways, and you've caught a lot of things that I would have missed. So thank you for all your work, and it's been a pleasure serving you in these leadership roles as well. And I know you'll help us spread the word about the opportunity to serve on the Orono Town Council in the future. Okay. It was hard keeping that a secret, but I did. Action items number 8. Our first action item is Order 26-100, order authorizing the town manager to continue consultation with the Penobscot Nation Department of Cultural and Historic Preservation here in the flesh tonight to establish the Chief Joseph Orono Wabanaki Veterans Award to be presented annually to coincide with the Wabanaki Veterans Day on June 21. And be it further ordered that the town hereby award the Chief Joseph Orono Wabanaki Veterans Award to Charles Norman Shea in recognition of his distinguished service and honoring his memory following his passing on December 3rd, 2025 as the first recipient.
So moved.
Clint, do you want to set this up for us? I see we already have.
So get James Francis coming up to speak as well on behalf, but the concept came up a little bit through the work we've been doing with the interpretive plan, but also just kind of in the past 2 years and different opportunities we had. Last year, you had the Ware Walk on June 21. A couple councilors had suggested, was there a way to keep some momentum and keep things going? That led to us having a meet and consult, which is kind of the practice we put in place. And about a week later, this idea came out, and within 5-6 days, the staff and I pulled together all the pieces we needed to do. And this looks like the best way, because we don't meet again until after June 21. So this is the way to get all the parts going, and then we'll start putting together the recognition. I've shared some examples of like we do with our volunteer awards we do, something along that lines, but I want to work with James on how we would make it look and how we would design it. But to set it up so that we would have a nice way of recognizing them. I'll let him speak to on how they're going to bring forward the nominees. But again, the council doesn't have to do any selection criteria or application process. That's something they've offered to provide us. So.
Yeah, because this.
James, can you just introduce yourself? And
Sure.
Thanks.
So I'm James Eric Francis Sr. I am the Director of Cultural and Historic Preservation for the Penobscot Nation, longtime tribal historian. And most of you know me, right? Yeah, I've been here before. Because this is a Wabanaki Veterans Award, we wanted to make sure that it was, although we are in Penobscot territory, that it wasn't exclusively Penobscot. The first recipient makes loads of sense. Charles Norman Shea was the one who made this holiday happen. And he passed away back on December 3rd at the age of 101, I believe. He would have been 102 this month. And but doing this award and to recognize him makes the most sense. Next year, I will, leading up to the spring, I'll reach out to probably the Maliseet community and get a name that they would like recognized and get some history on that person. I really think that some sort of speaker to talk about the veteran happen. And then Micmac and Passamaquoddy. I tend to do those in alphabetical order, with Penobscot being last, but it makes most sense to put Charles Norman Shea at the helm on this regard. Is there any questions? It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I think it's fabulous. I don't know if anyone has, we did have the council acted on a resolution, I think it was resolution 3112 back in December 15th, a proclamation recognizing and thanking Charles Norman Shea, Direct Senator Chief Joseph Orono. So it feels like we've already spent some time on this, so it makes sense to, as we propose this award, to work on top of the work we've already done. But so I appreciate you bringing it to us and and I know it comes together. This is our first conversation on it, but I know it came together quickly and I think it's a good idea. Anybody have any other questions?
I just have a comment. I was privileged to be able to help word some of the recognition of Charles Norman Shea. And if you haven't had a chance to look at this individual, he's extraordinary human being. So please look him up. He's served honorably and is a role model for all of us Americans. So.
Okay. Any Council Marks?
Yeah, thank you, James. I really especially want to say thanks. I know you helped pull this together pretty quickly, and Clint did. And I agree, Charles Norman Shea, there couldn't be a better person to honor with the first award. I also just want to thank you for being willing to partner on this, because it will be important that it's a partnership going forward, and that, you know, it's you through your role at the Penobscot Nation who's doing the nomination process and doing all that. That's not us. We're participating. I understand, you know, I think my fellow councilors feel, because we're named after Chief Joseph Orono, which is an important part of the history of our town. And it seems like a lovely way to honor the legacy of Chief Joseph Orono, along with a Wabanaki veteran every year. And that seems really beautiful to me. As usual, you tend to bring very beautiful ideas forward. So thank you.
thank you very much.
Okay. Is there any, if there are no more questions, I ask if anyone in the public has any comment? Okay. Any final discussion? I guess I would ask Amanda, if maybe with our minutes on this item, if we link the order from the meeting on December 15th, just so we have that consistency. Council Marks has another question.
Sorry, this might be more to Clint, but would it also be possible, along with this award, to link on the town's social media and websites some information about the person it's being awarded to? I'm sure James has so much information on Charles Norman Shea. We have a Where Walk poster also that James helped write about Charles Norman Shea. And it would be really nice, I think, for other folks in the community to be able to easily see it and read about who this person is.
Okay. I think we're ready to call the question. All those in favor of orders 26-100, authorizing the Cultural and Historic Preservation, well, the Chief Joseph Orono Wabanaki Veterans Award to be presented to Charles Norman Shea. That's unanimous. Thank you. And thank you. I appreciate you coming in, James. Next up is Order 26-101, order setting the date of July 13th, 2026 at 5 p.m. for the public hearing to consider an ordinance authorizing and improving the following capital improvement projects: waste pollution control facility, sewer improvements, the library expansion project, the public safety building / police station construction project. Said projects will be financed through the issuance of up to $9 million of the town's general obligations bonds. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. And Clint, you gonna
We just had a great presentation by Joe. Jim Safian, town's legal counsel, prepared all the documents that are attached. He'll be here available on the 13th. I will add, I guess, from our conversation, we'll talk a little bit more, I think, between now and then. But again, the attorney did answer our question. These would be movable between the others. The enterprise fund is your sewer. That's 2/3 of this bond issuance. That's already been calculated into it with following our current plan. They have, there'll be no increase beyond what was already pre-planned to their budgets. And from the town side, it will have an increase to our cost, but we will work those into next year's budget process. No payment will be made until fiscal year 28 on these bonds.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Any discussion from counselors? All those in favor of setting the public hearing date? Okay, that's unanimous. And just so we're clear, we're going to have the public hearing and act on the same date. And typically, a lot of the time when we have a public hearing on a traditional ordinance change, we wait a few weeks or so a couple of meetings before we finalize, but we're not just. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. Order 26102, order approving the fiscal year 2027 municipal budget as amended by town council for the manager proposed expense and revenue. I'm going to forego reading all the numbers, but they're in the written materials. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any, Council Hardison?
Just wanted to, for just full transparency, I am married to the deputy chief of the Orono Fire Department. The fire department budget is included in the discussion of the budget as a whole. And because it's not specifically about the deputy chief, I'm not recusing myself from the discussion.
Council Marks?
I'd
have
make a
question?
motion that we have a council vote on that then. I think it's great, but I think we should vote on a motion that Andrea stay as part of the vote on the budget. So I would move that she stay.
Okay. I will second it. Okay. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of Andrea participating? And she's not, it's 6-0 with Andrea abstaining. Thank you, Andrea, for the disclosure. And we are still on the topic of the budget. Clint, do you have anything you want to share? And we've worked on this a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I want to thank the council and I also want to thank the community. We put out a lot more information, shared as much as we could this year. This is a little bit earlier, not a lot, but we're the 1st of June. The goal is to end of May, 1st of June going forward. It does help in everything we're doing to implement these as we move forward. It is an increase, you know, of all 3 legs of the municipal budget, town, school, and county. It is, and we were aware of that. We received a lot of input. I've received a lot of great suggestions to council. There were great adjustments made throughout this to get us to this point and as low as we could. It is a status quo budget to sustain the current level of services. Not much else being added on. Everything else is being done through reserves or capital projects. You know, that's the most I can say. Again, thank you all, and I appreciate your vote, whichever way you should take it forward from here.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Any discussion from counselors? Okay. Just want to say I'll reiterate and thank Clint for his hard work and patience with all of us, and it takes a great deal of work to bring this forward. And of course, staff, thank you for everything. I do expect to see you all at every one of our meetings from, you know, it's great to have you here. So even when the budget's not on the, I'm kidding. Please enjoy your Monday nights unless you're on the agenda. But with that, I guess we'll vote on this thing. All those in favor? Unanimous. Andrea, I thought for a second you weren't going to vote. So. All right, the budget has been passed. Hear you, hear you. Thank you for all the great work. Order 26103, order approving the water pollution control facility budget for the fiscal year 2027, the amount of $2,245,483 for operations and $213,100 for capital improvements for a total of $2,458,583.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Any public comment? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, that's gonna move. Order approving a sewer use fee increase from $7.09 per 100 cubic feet to $7.44 per 100 cubic feet with a minimum quarterly charge of $89.28 effective July 1, 2026 billing date. Anything, I need a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Then seconded. Anything else to add, Clint? Okay, any conversation, public comment? Okay, all those in favor? That passes unanimously. Thank you. Order 26105, order approving the 5-year capital investment plans FY 2027 through FY 2031 for the town and water pollution control facility and expend the funds for FY 2027 consistent with the plan. Could I have a motion on order 26105?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anything else to add here, Clint? Okay,
I have a question.
Council Marks has a question.
I might have two, sorry. I just am trying to be clear. Are we voting on the entire Orono capital improvement plan or just the water pollution control part? And didn't we already vote on this anyway before? So are we just re-voting on what we already voted on? I'm a little confused.
So we debated this and a great question. You did approve a capital improvement program. That's the way our charter was read. So we did that in advance. This has been the historical. You were doing them on the same night. Because there are some changes or variations within the budget itself, just to how that plan's being implemented, I thought it made the most sense that we would reapprove it here. That says, that so the capital lines that are in there are then revalidated as we're carrying forward. Again, nothing of great significance was changed. But again, as we looked at some of the projects going forward, the biggest thing in the capital program is, I don't know what else to refer to, the skip year. We're backing off some of our road work. The road work we're doing is the stuff that's built up. We're putting the majority of the money to the police station. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody saw it. With all the changes we're making, it just seemed the most appropriate to continue to reaffirm the capital improvement program at the same night you approve the budget.
Go ahead, Sarah.
So I think I have a follow-up question then. The version we see here says approved on 3/9/26, which is, I believe, when we voted on it. Have there been changes to this version we approved in 3/9? Because that I would not feel comfortable with. I certainly didn't go through this looking for where there were changes.
Capital improvement program has not changed. It's just the implementation in the budget. Yep.
So the capital improvement program looks exactly like it did before, and we are simply reiterating for the public that we are affirming this plan again and using the 2027 recommendations in the 2027 budget. There was nothing we changed from the 2027 recommendations in this capital improvement plan, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Nope, you got to stop. There was one use of additional reserves. As I said it, the amount of money that was in the capital improvement program to do the trails that is out in the cemetery, we're using more cemetery funds. So full disclosure, yes, the amount of cemetery funds recommended went up so that that could be a slightly larger project. And that was detailed in our budget discussions. That's why we're doing, these are some of the things I want to make sure there was no change to the projects or their anticipations, but more reserve funds were allocated from cemetery reserve, which is a non-general fund reserve.
And we have that amount reflected in this document we're voting on? So that
Budget.
change was made in the budget, but not in the capital improvement
Correct.
program. And are we not voting on that later? Or is that a different cemetery discussion later?
That's a different
Okay. So do you have any idea what that change amount was-ish?
25 to 40, I believe, 2540 or 2550.
Coming out of a specific cemetery reserve fund
Yeah.
to be utilized this year, which was not annotated in the capital plan. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Seeing no other discussion, I'll call the question. Order 26105, all those in favor? That's approved. Thank you. Order 26106, order approving the fiscal year 2027 economic development budget of $1,153,609 for operations, $250,000 for capital, totaling $1,403,609 funded by the following tax increment financing district development programs as listed. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Anything to add, Clint, to this? Any discussion and questions from counselors? Any comments from the public? Okay. All those in favor of order 26106? Okay, that's approved. And for anyone watching at home, we've been working on this stuff for months. So it's, it's going fast, but we've been down this road for a long time. Order 26107, order approving revisions of the town of Orono fee schedule effective July 1, 2026. Could I have a motion?
So second.
Moved and seconded. Anything to add, Clint? Nope. Any discussion, questions? Any comments from the public? All those in favor of order 26107? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. Order 26108, an order establishing the due dates for FY 27 real estate and personal property taxes of October 1, 2026 and February 1, 2027. The rate of interest at 7% per annum, and for the interest to begin accruing on said tax balances remaining as of October 2, 2026 and February 2, 2027. Can I have a motion? Moved twice, seconded twice, just for, Okay, Clint, anything to add?
Yeah, so these were normally a consent calendar. We did put them in here, full action, and I added a memo. I just wanted to make sure it was clear that There's some state statutes. If you read the memo, it will explain that. But the maximum is set by by the state annually. Last year it was 7.5. They dropped it to 7. So we followed that. That then changes the amount we can pay back. You can go no lower than 3% less. So I did do that as well. But again, this has great impacts, like, whether it's an abatement, people prepaying. We have to be very zealous as a staff to make sure refunds are done quickly, because that can carry a significant cost to the town. So that's why I get asked sometimes why why do we charge more than we return? And again, the simple answer is that we charge more because it's to motivate them to pay on time. Our cash flow is important. We pay back less to prevent the situation where somebody would utilize this. I would share that 4% is better interest rate than you can get at a bank right now on short-term investments. So we have to watch that very carefully. Okay?
Yep. Okay, any questions about the memo? Okay, if that's the case, we will take a vote on order 26107. There's no public comment, right? Okay, all those in favor of order 26107? Oh, 26108, I'm sorry, yep. Okay, it's 26. I'm sorry, I'm getting a couple things going on here at the same time. So order 26108 is approved unanimously. All right, Clint, it looks like we may have had some math wrong on my co-pilot here, on 26106.
The amounts there look like they add to the 1.15 million, but they don't add to the 1.4. So is that remaining difference coming from a fund that's not listed, perhaps a capital fund that exists for TIF?
Correct. 250,000 in capital. You approved it when you approved the capital budget, but we do utilize those funds to pay for it. So we show them together. It's not meant to add up.
Do we need to amend that to say that the money is coming not just from those districts, but also from that capital fund?
I think it's clear within the budget documents if you research all the information, but if you wanted more clarity, you can make any motion you would like to correct that order.
I'm confident as long as it's on the record where it's coming from. Where did you say again?
It's in the capital improvement budget.
So it's coming from the capital improvement budget, which is a TIF fund?
It's using the TIF proceeds to pay for it. It's the $250,000 of TIF that's going towards the police station.
Thank you. So it's the capital money from the TIF. Thank you.
Okay, going to move on. Order 26109, can I get a motion for the order setting the rate of interest to be paid by the town for the overpayment of FY27 taxes at 3%?
So moved.
Per annum.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Anything here, Clint? Okay. Any discussion? Comments from the public? It's a safe 3%, but probably not the best rate of return you can get for your money. If you want to put it in some other investment, I'd suggest AI, but I don't give investment advice. Yep, Bitcoin from Jacob, my banker, right? All right, Council Artisan. You have your own investment advice you're going to give?
No,
Okay.
wrong person.
Yeah.
If we're the 3%, is that more than what the town earns in interest if it's sitting in the bank? Like, are we paying more than?
No, it's close. It's very, very close. So we just watch it. That's why I said we try to pay it back as quickly as possible. Zach shared tonight that 3.25 is roughly where we've been, but that's not all the time. It does vary. Sometimes it can go below, sometimes it's above, but we do watch it.
Do we have to pay something? Does the law, do you remember?
The law says we have to pay within 4% of the maximum we can charge for delinquent payment.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. That would be, we're right there then. You did the math pretty spot on. Okay. All right. All right. Anything else on anything from the public? Okay. All those in favor of order 26109? That looks unanimous. Are you voting for it? No? Okay. Sorry. Okay. All those opposed? All right. We got 6-1 with Council Hardison against. Order 26110, order authorizing the town manager to transfer funding from the cemetery perpetual care trust funds for improvements within the cemetery not to exceed $7,000. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We got a background memo here. Anything else in addition to what we have in the memo?
Answer any questions, but no.
Nope. Okay, any questions?
Real quick, what's,
Council-
after we take this 7,000 out, what's the balance in the fund? Are we talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands? Okay, all right, yeah.
Sarah, do you have a question or are you gonna? Okay. All right, order, any other questions? All right, anything from the public? Okay, all those in favor of order 26-110? That's unanimous. Order 26-111, order authorizing town manager to utilize $35,000 from WPCF unassigned fund balance for the sewer press design project due to additional design costs. And we have a memo here. Could we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. And what do we have a press design budget adjustment memo, one of many, many memos in tonight's agenda.
I mean, take a look, the short version, Chris Prue is here as well to answer any questions. The design came in slightly higher. So he has enough money in his operating funds and his assigned fund balances to the wastewater. So he just wanted to pay for it there rather than putting it against his operating accounts. The design came in slightly higher. They had to make some adjustments primarily because of, and Chris can explain this so much better, but the way that they're treating the sludge and the way the pumps are working, they redesigned it to reutilize a lot of the equipment that was on site. That drove up the cost for some additional design work. Am I getting that good in layperson terms, Chris? That's where I was trying to stay because I didn't want to get into the technical side.
I
of
think this is, I
wastewater.
love the bulleted memo and I love the thank you at the end.
Chris Prue, WPCF. Yeah, so several pieces of equipment that are in the alternate bid that we're going to try to reuse. They require modifications to work. The press we have now is different than what we're going to buy. What we're going to buy is a closed vessel system. So it requires pressure and the pumps we have can't deliver enough pressure. So we have to change the motor. So now we have the design people at the factory looking at, do we have to change the gearbox? So that's an extra cost. That's where that's coming from. Chemical delivery system to condition the sludge before dewatering. The new system basically doesn't fit where it's supposed to go. So, you know, it's 20 years later. So do we have it modified at the factory? Do we make the room bigger? We have to look at all those things and that's just more design.
Okay, any questions for Chris? I did a little schematic here on my agenda. I got it. Yeah. Thanks, Rob.
You can come down again.
Come down and take a look. All right. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, any comments from the public? Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of order 26-111? That's, yep, yeah, Andrea's back with us. That was unanimous. Thank you. Order 26-112, order approving the dedication installation of a bench on the Stillwater River Trail as a memorial to Mary and Jeff White at no cost to the town. Megan, you want to come up real quick? Thank you. Oh, I need a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Hi, everyone. Megan Mazzella, Parks and Recreation Director. There's 3 memos attached to this item, one of which I wrote to explain how I met with the people interested in donating such a bench. The bench will be, it has been made, I have seen it, but the bench itself in all the material to make the bench was donated by local people in support of this type of an item, and that will be at no cost to the town. I have walked the trail with Sharon Tischer, which is the person who approached me about this memorial. The location that they are most interested in is at the end of the Stillwater Trail on the cemetery property. I don't see any concerns with adding a bench to the trail. We talked about multiple sites and why they wouldn't work based on, if you're familiar with that end of the trail, it can be a little bit steep. So making sure the bench is in a safe spot was key, but I don't have any concerns with this type of memorial.
Okay. So it'll be kind of just, you cut out a spot off the trail a little bit, so it's just along
Yes,
yeah.
it would not block or impede the trail in any way. It would be set back off the trail,
Facing the
in-
river, I assume?
facing the river,
Yeah.
correct? And they would coordinate with me of when and exactly how that would be, installed in that space.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? The philosophy department letter was helpful and to the point, so one sentence, nice. All right, thank you, Megan. Good work. Yeah, we've got a motion already, right? So any other discussion? Any comments from the public? All those in favor of order 26-112? All right, that is approved. Now we're gonna go back. Apparently, Council Marks has a question about order 26-108. You want to share that with us, Sarah?
I do. So the memo from staff, if we open the 2027 rate memo, it says that 7% is the maximum amount allowed by the state and that staff is recommending that we lower that to 3%. It says after review, staff recommends setting the interest rate at this minimum level, which was 3%. And then it says staff recommendation adopt a delinquent property tax interest rate of 3%, but the order we voted on still says 7% in it. I voted in the affirmative, so I could ask us to revote, I believe, on that order if staff agree that that's a typo perhaps in that order. 108, the delinquent property tax.
Yeah, so there's two things going on. One, you set the amount we can charge the payer, the taxpayer, if they pay late. So this is the interest we're charging them is the first one. We're going to charge a resident 7% interest for late payment on their taxes. That's the one that the state sets as a maximum. And we are following their state max. Last year was 7.5. This year we're following it at the 7%. Then when you read on, and that's why I cited the statute, if you go on to 504, where is it? The link's in the memo. You got too many documents open right now. You hang on, I'll go back.
I think the memo is talking about delinquent property tax, not the amount the tax would,
Well, the second,
community would pay back.
but it's talking about both. It's the delinquent taxes and then it's the amount that we have to reimburse for interest to the people that pay early. So the second one is saying that if you pay your taxes on time, but you overpay, and then we have to refund you because you paid more than you were owed, we then pay interest at a lower rate than what we charge people for paying delinquently.
Yeah. But
And that's where the law comes in.
But the discrepancy that Sarah's pointing out is that under staff recommendation, it says adopt the delinquent property tax interest rate of 3% for the upcoming tax year. So that's the memo, but the order was the 7%. And I'm comfortable with the 7% because that makes sense to me because I know there are costs associated with collecting for delinquent taxes. But I guess if anything else, just point out the discrepancy. Maybe it was a typo or, maybe it was
Maybe the memo is what's incorrect, but I guess I want clarity because the memo in two different places said staff is recommending 3% for the delinquent property tax, not what the town pays back, but for the delinquent property tax. So I just need clarity.
Yes, I'm confused. Okay, so which order are you referring to for the question?
Order 26-108 is that we passed is 7% for taxes, for delinquent taxes. The staff recommendation memo, so the third paragraph from the bottom of that memo that's linked there,
Okay.
it says adopt the delinquent property tax interest rate of 3% for the upcoming tax year. And then it talks about meaningful relief to taxpayers who fall behind.
Oh, yeah, that's that.
Sounded clearly like staff were recommending something to give folks a break, and I'm confused now.
Well, you can, the staff recommendation, I oversaw it, but it was a recommendation on the second part was going to be relating to the overpayment. So you're correct. There is an error in the memo.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone, someone could move to reconsider. I'm inclined to stay with what we already passed, but at the same time.
Can I simply ask then, those numbers are quite different. We're paying back at 3% and we're asking folks to pay us at 7%. Why is there such a big difference?
Why is there such a big difference between the 7 and 3?
Yeah, what is the cost to us that accrues? Like, why are we?
Significant. Zach, do you know the interest revenue on delinquent taxes? And the bigger risk is if people can save by not paying us, so they wait longer is the bigger risk. We're a very good collection community. People pay on time and they're motivated to pay on time. I would not want to see a major adjustment to the delinquent interest rate such that people wouldn't pay on time, because then our cash flow would change, which really changes our projections on what our fund balance should be. So it has a lot of trickle down effects. So I do think that is a good recommendation to stay at the 7%, which is the town of Orono's always adopted. Going back 5 years, I researched the maximum.
That makes perfect sense to me. I really just wanted that on the record because it doesn't match the memo. If anyone in the public has read it,
Nope.
and perhaps we could add an additional memo to the minutes explaining
Yeah,
why. and
I'll
what that
correct the
mistake
memo
was.
and we'll reattach it. It's my memo. I'll fix it.
Thank you.
Okay. That is it for action items. Thank you that was a lot of work, but thank you for that. And next up is the consent agenda, where we have an opportunity to move and vote on as a single action on all the items under the consent agenda. Any member of the town council or any member of the public could ask to have any item taken off the consent agenda and considered as a separate action item for discussion. Do we have any concerns with the consent agenda? Any questions about what we have in front of us? Okay, so we'll take a motion.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, and there's no debate on consent agenda, so all those in favor of the consent agenda? And that's passed unanimously, and I would like to thank and congratulate Lori, Megan, and Dan. Their contracts were in there, and we didn't pull them out for special attention, standing ovations and whatnot, but thank you so much for your service, and we're happy to be able to approve those. Next up, I think we're done voting, except for stuff at the end. The council committee reports. We'll start with Community Development Committee.
Yeah, we're excited. We're currently looking for community feedback, but that will be directed from the town concerning what to do with the kiddie pool. And so that's part of the community development process. We're also continually looking at the updates of the Oak Street as we get more information from MDOT, and also we're looking at information concerning the other areas of traffic concerns in Orono as we get more information, both from the state and also concerning what we can afford in the budget. So that's it. Anything you want to add, Dan?
The face of excitement, Matt Powers. Yep. Finance and Operations Committee.
Yeah, because we only have one council meeting this month, we're having a special finance committee meeting on the 16th at 4 p.m. in, I don't know, the Aristic Room.
Okay, thank you. Nominations, Evaluations, and Council Policies Committee.
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Ordinance Review Committee.
Yep, at our most recent meeting, we reviewed again the ordinance around cemeteries. I think council will be seeing that at some point soon. And we began review of digging into the very technical information around sewers in Chapter 36. And part of that is because we want to make sure that we've got all our I's dotted and T's crossed as projects are coming down the line. And we'll be doing something similar in review for library ordinances at some point soon in coming months. But our next meeting will be on Wednesday, which is different from usual, but for various reasons we had to reschedule. It's going to be Wednesday, the 17th at 9 a.m.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee.
Sure. One thing to report is that a community member is interested and is looking into restarting Pride Orono Festival. And so there may be stuff coming up. Keep your eyes peeled for that. And the other thing is at the end of Pride Month, we will be packing up or moving the Pride Zoo around town. We've been fixing up parts of it, and other parts of it will have to be fixed for next year. If you're interested in adopting an animal to store for next year, you can contact me, Matt Powers, or anybody on the DEIB committee. Thanks.
So what was someone's interested in doing a Pride, what was it? Pride Festival?
Yeah. Orono has had one in the past and they're looking at reinstituting it, and they'll probably start out small and see what happens.
Okay, great. We've added the Heart of Orono Maine Committee to the committee reports. John, I apologize if I didn't tell you that in advance, but
No, I had a heads up. I was ready. I will just kind of give a brief overview where we're at. We've met 3 times now and have been able to hear from town staff on kind of the behind the scenes functioning of downtown. We've done some exploration of what makes our downtown really strong and what some of the areas for growth might be. We've done some walking tours of downtown and looked at some kind of comparable towns and programs. And our next steps are going to be kind of going into the summer, developing a set of questions that the members of the committee can take out into their communities, into their spaces, and really try to bring back some consistent information from the town as a whole. Because I think we've got a really good group and they've been doing some really great work. And a big function of this committee, I think, is just getting as many voices as possible into this. There's one other piece that I wanted to share about it. Shouldn't have put down away my notes so fast. Oh, one of the things that one of the themes, just to kind of update folks on some of the themes that are showing up, has been communication and how we market events in the town, and how there's silos in communication in Orono, I think. So for some folks, it's the Facebook page. For some folks, it's the parent listserv, which I think has expanded far beyond parents. For some folks, it's word of mouth. For some folks, it's bulletin boards. But finding ways to kind of get all the information to all those places where we can really connect events together, and making the parts of town we want to draw people into look really inviting and really open for business and vibrant has been another major focus in a variety of different ways. So continuing good work, and I appreciate everybody that is regularly showing up and putting in the time on that committee.
good. Thanks, John. Update from any council liaisons to boards and committees? Anybody have anything they want to offer? Okay. Council chair report. The Orono Arts Fest is coming up. It's the June 26th through 28th. I don't know if we'll have, it was on the front page of the Observer, so thanks to Cody for the plug. We'll get, MJ Sedlocks told me that materials going up on the website, which is oronoartsfest.com. So events and schedules will be posted there. You'll be able to find things on the socials as well. And I'm sure that the town will be amplifying those things. And as John just mentioned, those silos you got to hit them all because everyone's getting their stuff through different information, but it'll be, I'm sure it'll be a really fun weekend in Orono at the end of June. So, we started at 4:30. So we're now at 2 hours and 10 minutes into our meeting, and we still got stuff to do, including a, executive session. So, we did want to have a council goal check-in, and I guess we want to get a sense of, this is our only meeting in June, and I'm not advocating for another meeting in June. I'll entertain a motion to elect a new town chair to the Orono Town Council. But we did want to talk about, Sarah and I have been talking, we met, and talked about kind of where we are on the goals. Thought we've made some good progress on some goals, some things not, and we think we've got room to, we've got things in the works that'll happen this year that'll be helpful. That'll kind of get us over the finish line in terms of having some progress on some of our goals. But we think there are some things we haven't been as successful on. Like we haven't been doing in the Your Voice Matters, for instance. We haven't done videos, easy to use videos on how to engage in the town process, and stuff like that. So I don't think now is the time. I don't know that we have the energy or the time to get with all the staff to go through a half an hour conversation. I don't want to workshop this thing now, but I guess I wanted to raise the issue and see how people would like to, if people have quick thoughts or thoughts on how we might want to proceed. Councilor Marks?
Yeah, I think I'll just give my opinion. I think it is really important that we do revisit them as a council because we passed them in December, and then it's really hard not to sort of get just focused in on the budget. It's the biggest thing we do all year. It's probably the most important thing we do. And coming out of that, I do think it's important for us all to refocus ourselves and say, how are we doing on these? Are we missing something? And is there most especially anything we really want to focus on for the remaining 5 months of the, town council year? I'm fine with that in July if staff don't feel like the July meeting is too swamped. But beyond July, it starts to get very late in terms of how many months we have left. So I would either rather have the discussion now, even if it makes things late for us, or be committed that we do have the time in July and that it, I guess, becomes a discussion item so that it happens at the beginning of the meeting and doesn't potentially get bumped again.
July? Yeah. So unless people want to really dig into it now, let's talk about July. And what I could do is, we've got to do a council report that we're going to do, an annual report as part of one of our goals. And I could kind of frame that up as kind of to give us a discussion document about kind of where, this would be the first draft of what the report could be and just sort of where we are and where maybe there's some holes we should think about. And we could put our heads together with staff in terms of but we could put that together as a presentation item at the start of the meeting in July, Clint, if that works. Amanda, can you? Okay. And I will have a rough draft of my thoughts on what the council report, the annual town council report could look like. Okay, good. Town managers report.
Yeah, just a few items. I'll move quickly. One, just with carry forwards, last year was the first year doing with those. We kind of worked at a different process. We learned a lot with it. Zach's working with me. It's either going to be in the July or the August meeting. More likely it's going to be August. We'll look at all the year end for all the departments. The only change I made with all staff is that, carry forwards are now for specific purposes and to go to reserves. We're not going to run operating budgets. There was a few last year where there were some operating requests to move it into future years' operating budgets. It's just too much for a small accounting firm. And one, it's not a practice that I've ever been one to condone as a town manager. You build a budget for your year, you live within the budget. If you're under, great. And if you're over, we'll try to take care of it. But there shouldn't be carrying budgets from year to year. If you have money left over and you want to save it for something, put it into a reserve for a future project that you can specify. The other one, got a card, council had mentioned this, we put together and we thought it was best if every councilor signed it. This is to the town of Searsmont for the tragedy they suffered some weeks ago now. So we put together a little handwritten note to send to them and to send them our best. I'll pass that down and just get it back to Amanda or I when you're done. The BACS pilot projects, not so much as an update as it is just a reminder. We are going to be putting out, they're getting the equipment. Public Works is trying to work with them to when they can get it set up. There was some debate. We wanted it up more, as much as possible. But again, after school went out, but we want to make sure it's up and ready so that when school goes back in and the university opens back up, that it's there. It's this section over here where they're going to narrow the street a little bit as a traffic calming method. Any questions about that? We had the proposal and the different ideas that they presented some months ago. Just wanted to do a reminder because you'll be seeing that soon. And sometimes it's nice to get where did this come from? This is when you see something over at Webster Street, that's the project. And then there was a request for data, future agenda item for July conversation on response times. I've been working, I guess this is my opportunity to share to you that I've been working with staff on Showcase Orono. It's data that we're doing internally to use to try to learn how to measure and compare ourselves year to year on what we're doing, what we're accomplishing. If there is a future agenda item request here, that's fine. I just want to make sure that there wasn't a misconception that we aren't monitoring a lot of data. We actually have so much data, we're trying to figure out which ones do we have the time to monitor best. But if there are requests for this and you want to bring forward specifically, I mean, we can tailor things, but I just wanted to make sure you understood that we are doing some. There is if this is something I will put on the July agenda for you to talk about, just as I think Dan maybe alluded with this, is the amount of time we've had in today's conversation. I knew there was too much of a discussion there for the council to fit this in with the agenda we had tonight. There was no delay, but agenda setting talked it out and thought it would be better to move it.
I think we wanted to queue that up if we wanted to have any kind of talk through the process at the July meeting if we ever want to consider some sort of service adjustment, like the budget we just endorsed, in terms of, fire departments, the fire department, it had a $40,000 adjustment in overtime, but that did not, and we intentionally did not ask for any kind of change in service adjustment. And it was very important to some of us. Well, I think it's very important that if we have any kind of discussion, any meaningful discussion about service level adjustments, that it could impact how an important service like fire serves the community, that we think about how we'd have that conversation publicly. And I think the request for service times from like Bangor, if we have to call in for mutual aid from Bangor, I think that was sort of, it's part of like filling that out. But I think we as a council should have a conversation in July about, if we're ready to have a service level discussion and what that would entail. And I'm not sure we are, but if we are, if there's a majority that wants to have that conversation, then I think we go out and get the data that would inform, could help us make a determination. But I'm not, before I entertain other thoughts, I'm not proposing that we have that conversation. I think we talk about talking about it. So if that's really clear for people, and I hope that was. So, Sarah?
Yeah, I agree that I think the conversation we need to have is not about service levels. It's about what data do we actually need to adequately assess service levels? Because I do think that response times are one part of that. I think there are other parts of that as well that we've already been given from the fire department, and we need to talk about what there might be smaller pieces within the data we've already been given that haven't been analyzed perhaps or compiled. So I think it's about what data we need overall and how we need to see it analyzed and presented to us. That would be helpful to me in a discussion. I don't know if that's what anyone else feels, but I'm not feeling the need for a service level discussion. I do think it would be helpful to be clear on what data we would need to have that discussion in what format, so that if it comes up again in the future, staff aren't caught off guard and have already been collecting data in the way that council thinks it would need to see, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and I would think it'd be helpful to have that. I think we're going to talk about our council goals, and then we could talk about these data elements. I think it's good to have that conversation at the same time in terms of, where do we want to spend our time as a council, and with the limited staff time that we have available to us. And I definitely want to make sure that when we're thinking about tough things, and we want to make sure that, in my view anyway, we want to make sure we're not going to staff looking for information to prepare for a debate we may or may not have sometime in the future. So, the faster Bangor can get here, the better, at all times. But if we're not gonna go down the road of a service level change, then, it's not particularly, well, I guess it could. There's no need to task it to staff if we're not going to have a serious conversation, I guess. And those questions should all go to staff in one package and not be kind of one-offs as far as I'm concerned. But, okay. Is there anything else?
No,
Right.
I think it's just cycled around enough that at least some council discussion about it, so we get some council clarity, would be wise, because I never want our staff and our manager to feel like, individual people are asking for things and maybe the rest of council doesn't care. I think it's important that we figure out if anyone on council cares about certain data being collected or not.
Yep. Andrea, I know I don't want to undercut. It was you that you had the question. I think.
No,
yeah.
and I actually agree, because I think sometimes we do lose track of how much we're asking staff to do and bring back to us and analyze. And I think that's sometimes beyond, we're asking beyond our scope, and we have to trust that department heads are doing what they're supposed to.
Okay. Good. Okay. Anything else, Clint?
Nope, I'm done.
Nice. Thanks. We don't have any public petitions. I have a couple of future agenda items, but does anybody else have any? You have a public comment? Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. Sit tight. We'll just give you a second. All right. First, tomorrow is election day or primary day in Orono. So, I know Shelley and the team do great work, and you can see everyone in the audience can turn around here in our chambers and see that the voting booths are all set up, so that's wonderful. But we run great elections in Orono. I'm really proud. It's one of the things I'm proudest of in terms of the work that we do and under Shelley's leadership and all the great volunteers. So I hope people get out and vote. And I think we can choose if unenrolled voters can pick either primary, right? The Republican or the Democratic. So that's exciting. Is this the first time? Oh, all right. Well, it'll be the first time for me then. But I'm going to come vote. I'm going to pick a side and I'm going to participate.
Since
All right.
you thank Shelley, I do want to say that I will apologize because one of the promises I made to her is we wouldn't have a council meeting on the night of the elections. And in preparing the budget calendar last November, December, missed the date completely. And by the time I got to this is the night we were approving the budget, I'm like, "We'll just set up in the back of the room and everybody can see this is where we vote as well." But my apologies to Shelley and her team. That won't happen again.
Okay. And I did want to share and I guess disclose as much as anything, as a citizen of the town of Orono, I had a land use concern that I brought to the attention of the town. I'm also cognizant of the fact that I'm chair of the town council and I don't want to forego any rights I have to have concerns about what goes on in my neighborhood because I'm on the council, but I also don't want any special treatment in terms of the town following up on any questions that I have as a citizen. So I've asked the town manager to keep Councilor Jacob Baker apprised of any information he gives me in terms of follow-up. And so Jacob will be a second set of eyes, and I appreciate him being willing to be someone who's looped in just to make sure that we're on the up and up. And
I still don't know what you're getting me into. I've agreed to it, but
yeah, I think if to the extent that there's hey, this happened, you'll get a copy of the email, and to the extent if you ever have a concern about it, you could bring it to Clint or the rest of the council and keep. I'm gonna act in all the appropriate ways, but I think this is just one extra step to make sure that someone other than just me has yep. Okay, I don't want any special treatment. But I wanted fair treatment. So thank you. Yeah. Oh, I know, and that's why I asked you to do it, because if there's anybody who's gonna give me a hard time, it's Jacob Baker. So, all right. I guess we have some public comment, which I wasn't expecting, but Councilor Hardison, and anyone from the public other than a councilor who wants to participate in public comment? Nope. Councilor Hardison.
The weather didn't cooperate yesterday, so the June potluck has been rescheduled to next Sunday, June 14th. We'll be down at the Village Green behind the library, sponsored by the Orono Health Association. There'll be free hamburgers, hot dogs, veggie burgers. Hope to see you all there, and it will be rain or shine.
Okay, so we are going to go, we've got to move into executive session. There is likely to be an action item after executive session. So those who want to stick around for that excitement. And we have actually two executive sessions. So we're going to go into executive session, come out to an order, and then go back in executive session and just adjourn. Does that make sense? Okay. In that case, I'll take an, nope, Sarah.
Sorry.
I'd like you to move it. Yep.
So moved that we go into
Oh, we haven't
executive
even read it
session.
yet. A motion pursuant to 1 MRSA 405-6E for consultation with the town attorney regarding ongoing litigation.
So moved.
Seconded.
And all those in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. And we're in executive session in the heuristic room. Cody, are we on? Welcome back, Orono. The Orono Town Council is now out of executive session, and we'll take a motion on Order 26-135, an order authorizing the town manager to execute a settlement agreement as a result of tax abatement mediation with Tyler Technologies Incorporated for tax year FY
moved.
25.
Seconded.
Okay, any discussion? This is just for FY 25. It's not for FY 25 through FY.
The abatement was requested is on FY 25 only, but
Yep.
we have got an agreement that will go through FY 29.
Okay, good. All right, any discussion? No public comment? All those in favor? That's unanimous, and thank you for that. Next, we will not have any action after our next executive session, so I'll take a motion to move into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 405-6C regarding acquisition of real property or economic development.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor?